Yes, thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, sir. And I want to first congratulate the Honorable Kasim Tandaza for introducing this very important bill. And at the onset, I would like to say that I second this bill with pleasure and say that this is part of the economic empowerment of the people of Kenya in general and the coast in particular. The Mrangi, which is popular in the coast called Bixa, is a plant that has been there for many years. Bixa was a plant in many years that had a factory. One of the factories that employed so many people in this country was the Bixa factory in Kwale, alongside the one in Kilifi that was the cashew nut factory and many other factories, which collapsed during the privatization era in this country. And actually many other factories in this country collapsed during that time, including many others in other places. But the coast was hard hit because Bixa factory collapsed, the cashew nut factory collapsed, and many others. But thanks to this new thinking by Honorable Tandaza, today we would like to have Bixa become a scheduled crop. One of the reasons why Bixa was not considered so much by government and by government agencies and the Ministry of Agriculture then is because it is not a scheduled crop. But we have an opportunity, and I would like to rally this House to use that opportunity to actually pass this bill and make it an act of parliament so that Bixa, one of the highest earners in Kwale and in the coast, can benefit from this. Bixa, Mr. Speaker, is grown in Kwale, is grown in Kilifi County, especially the areas of Malindi. It is a big crop, actually the 6th biggest crop in Lamu, and many other parts of the coast region. So this is actually opening a new economic front for the coast region to be able to reap big benefits from agriculture. The benefits of a scheduled crop, Mr. Speaker, includes financing. The farmers of Bixa, and Bixa fetches almost $1 or something in the international market per kilo. That is very rare. A lot of the crops that we have actually the coast do not get to that. But a kilo of Bixa actually fetches you $1. The international market for Bixa is very high because it provides natural dye and natural food coloring. China today relies on the Bixa plant for their food coloring and for dyes. But the market in Kenya for Bixa has not been developed because there hasn't been deliberate government funding for the Bixa crop. So today, there are so many farmers who would like to have 20 acres, 10 acres, 50 acres of land under Bixa, but they cannot do that because they cannot get financing because this crop is not a scheduled crop. But the opportunity we have today is to empower so many farmers who would make a lot of money from the Bixa. There are very many farmers, if you look at the stories that are told, there are very many farmers who, if they had an opportunity to grow Bixa in large scale because they have been financed, then they would get a lot of money. And they would not be begging for school fees and bursaries. And they will not be going hungry, and they will not be staying at home, young people will not be staying at home jobless because they will be working in the Bixa plantations. But again, another important thing is if your crop is not scheduled, it does not benefit from government marketing. Today, there are so many people who come to this country to look for this crop, especially from Asia and China. They come to this country to look for this crop. But they only discover that it is here. Why? Because government is not deliberately marketing this crop. A scheduled crop benefits from marketing by government. So if we vote in this parliament to actually put this crop as a scheduled crop, then Bixa will benefit from government marketing and transportation and distribution. And this will help this country to gain more foreign exchange and actually help in the growth of the GDP of the areas of the coast, and overall the country benefits from it. So, Mr. Speaker, it is very important that today, and as we continue with this debate, that members in this House actually look at this as part of the economic transformation through agriculture. Whatever we might say, we might want to say the Big Four agenda in this country. One of the pillars is manufacturing. But we can only manufacture and do value addition if we can produce the agricultural crops that can go into manufacturing and value addition. But we cannot do that if some of the very important crops that are key in sectors and areas have not been developed to the level that a country can market it. So, Mr. Speaker, I would like to urge members here to support this motion and this bill so that it is passed as law. But other important things, while many crops, when you look at maize, which we have invested heavily, if you look at other crops, they will require a lot of fertilizer. But the Bixar tree does not require that. A lot of these other crops require intensive labor. The Bixar tree does not require. You plant that shrub, and for the next 20 years, you will harvest Bixar from that one tree. And within 4 years, it will have matured. And you have over 16 years of harvest, which makes it one of the crops that can actually help grow the economy, because you have less labor to it, you have less fertilizer, you have less pesticides you are using on it. And I am sure there are other areas which have experimented with cashew nut in this country, and they have seen that they can grow. They can also take this Bixar and grow. I know my friend Murungaru there in Meru, I'm sure this tree can grow and can make, you can replace Mogoka and Mira, which is harming our people, with Bixar, and you still make the same amount of money. But I would like to add this. The coast crops, the coastal crops have suffered in this country. Cashew nut has suffered. Coconut has suffered. If you go to this country, because there was no deliberate government investment in crops from the coast. So today the factory in Kilifi is closed. The farmers are cutting the trees because there is no investment in research, there is no investment in manpower, there is no capital investment in the trees, in the crops from the coast. That makes it right now, the families that used to be well off because these crops were there are no longer benefiting from them, and they have slided back to poverty. It is important that we do not just focus on regions. This parliament talks about coffee, this parliament talks about tea, this parliament talks about sugar. But it never looks at the cost, the crops at the coast, to have a deliberate program. And I want to ask this house to be that house that for once has looked at the coast and say, yes, I think we can help the farmers at the coast. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, as I wind up, I want to call upon the government and the Minister for Agriculture, who has been very busy marketing bills in public participation for crops from other regions, to for once take up this. We do not just pass this bill in this parliament and an act is put there, and I have seen many acts which have been put on the shelves. But I would like him, with the robustness and with the vigor that he's doing for coffee, to actually come to the coast and do it for Bixar. And I intend to move amendment as we move on this bill, that we also put cashew nut and coconut in the first part of the schedule, so that they can get funding and we can actually help those people in the coast region get out of the poverty circle that they have. Mr. Speaker, I would like to say this as I finish. Bixar is, and has been documented, as the world's most important natural colorant. Mr. Speaker, the market for Bixar out there is so huge. The only problem is production. Government can spur the production, can invest money in the farmers. The county governments too can invest money for the farmers to make Bixar the crop that can be one of the greatest exports from this country. But as it is today, Mr. Speaker, as I wind up, as it is today, there hasn't been any delay. So I want to urge this House, as I second this motion, that we support the initiative by Honorable Tandaza, so that we fast-track this, it passes, and I want to see the Minister for Agriculture, just like I've seen him do for coffee and tea, to come also and do the same for Bixar and other coastal crops. I second, and I thank you, Honorable Speaker.